I detest it. I read it with great interest in the 70s, and then I explained it and defended it to a lot of people in the 70s and 80s, and then I came to notice its pernicious and fakey effect on the young in the 90s, and by 2006 I've really come to think it's a very rearguard action, insanely pretentious, and aesthetically really a dead end. It's a prosody and a poetics of exhaustion at the moment, I think. Oh, it started out with Charles Bernstein, Ron Silliman, Bob Perelman, Linda Jenian. The practitioners go on, and they accomplished a lot in that mode early on. But now I think it's kind of an art school cool movement, without much knowledge of its predecessors, such as Gertrude Stein, James Joyce. So it has become a dead end, really. Language poetry is poetry that refers in on itself as a construct of words. In other words, in another kind of poetry, words signify something. Past the salt goes out of the poem. But in language poetry, the energy is always going in as a kind of linguistic, self-referential grid. And that's interesting for a while, but it becomes tedious after a point. Oh, some of the really fine practitioners of language poetry would be Bob Perelman, Linda Jenian, Michael Palmer was quite good. So those are people I would look to. Some of the main theoreticians would be Charles Bernstein, Ron Silliman, Charles North, people like that. It's been around for about 40 years, actually. It's not a new thing at all. Jory Graham is interesting. There are sort of latter-day people who have made alignment with language poetry. I'd count Jory among them. That would be Jane Miller, Jory Graham, perhaps C.D. Wright, Forrest Gander, who have made another thing of language poetry. It's not what was originally meant by language poetry, sort of an extension of it in what you could probably pretentiously call a postmodern context.